Hello everyone and welcome back to KitbashCarnage. So today we're going to have a look at some bits and scraps, trash and stuff I found on the floor. So I'm going to use all these bits, these orcs I found just on the floor of my hobby room when I was cleaning up, and some straws, paper straws and stuff. Going to use all these little bits to make a speeder slash jet bike type thing. So these are just all random bits, piece of green stuff that was left over from my mold and casting box. We have a bit of Milliput. I always have Milliput on my desk. What else do we have here? We have a piece of chain, this jeweler's chain, simple jeweler's chain. This is something that is used to keep like a ring binder thing to keep paper together in an office. We have a USB charger that is broke. It just cracked there at the edges, or near where the connection part is, where the USB part tends to always do that, so may as well use it instead of throwing it out. Like, I love to use stuff instead of throwing things away. Try and make some type of usage of it, you know. No point in wasting stuff. So I'll just get some glue out here. We're going to need some glue. Always need glue. And with these basic materials, a piece of card. This is just a sheet of card. For like a business card or something like that. It's not plastic card, it's just paper. And then these popsicle sticks and stuff. We'll see what we can make. So none of this is really thought out. I'm literally just doing this off the top of my head here. So we'll see what type of crazy contraption we come up with. And this is just a video just basically to show like what you can do with stuff that you just wouldn't necessarily just think is trash and throw away. Like a lot of these models and this metal paperclip thing, like all this was the popsicle sticks I used for mixing paints or taking paints out of tubs and stuff, and for some terrain. But the bent straws and all, like the chain, that was just lying on the floor. The paper clips, the broken wire, like all this stuff was just going to get trashed anyway. So why not just see what we can come out with all the extra bits that we've just got. So this is me here just thinking in my head of ideas. What do I want to do? How do I want to place this? What type of way do I want to have the orientation? I grabbed my hot glue gun here. I've been having some troubles with this hot glue gun for the past few days now, so we'll see how it works out. I was thinking of using the piece of cardboard paper as like the base. So something like that, or you know, like I'm just thinking of ideas here. So as I'm doing stuff, I'm thinking, what can I do here? I'm like, would this be the base of the actual model? Then I'm like, what about instead of it being the model itself, this is the base, like what the model sits on. So make the base part of the model. So I'm bending these bits down to kind of see, also these floating metal bits could properly hold the actual speeder like above the ground to make it look like it's levitating. And then I'm like, what orientation would I need this? Because I was thinking about using the long popsicle stick as like the main chassis or body of the actual jet bike speeder thing. So here I am just orientating it in a way that I think it might work. So I'm trying to bend these little pieces of metal so they will hold it into position above the ground, and then the bottom piece here I'm putting the card on, thinking if I could make a base out of it, how will I use that to support, have enough surface area to support this model. So I'm just trimming a piece off the end there in order to get a perfect, or a snug fit, shall I say. Nothing's perfect on this channel. So I cut that off there and I'm just trying to fit it in here. I'm happy with that. And we get this glue gun that I've been having issues with. Let's see, will this work for us? Yep, having issues. It's as if it needs to be left plugged in. I'm just going to get a new one. I think I've probably broke this, to be honest. Using it too much or leaving it on when it shouldn't be, or vice versa. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what's wrong with it? leave it there for a little while. Nothing ever seems to work. Channel is full of carnage, everyone. KitbashCarnage. The channel is proper full of carnage. Everything goes wrong. Lids fall on the floor. Banging into the camera. Oh, this is terrible. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. Really appreciate it. There's me throwing the lid up top and it falls on the floor. It's really not going well, and we've just begun. But we'll cut the top of the super glue off, and hopefully by then we can use this glue gun. Don't forget to subscribe, everybody. I've put this little logo thing here, DIY. Ran out of colours, ended up having to use highlighters. So yeah, bear with me. We just use what we have here. So hopefully you're enjoying the content so far, everyone. I really appreciate you coming along and supporting me and this journey that I've jumped headfirst on. Thank you. Thanks everybody very much. So I wasn't patient enough for the hot glue gun to get a bit of charge, so I'm just trying to stick it on with the super glue. I'm getting more and more frustrated as this won't work. So yeah, I know there's supposed to be a blue light there, not too red, but all I need is a tiny bit of glue. Come on, please. Small bit. Just a dribble of glue on here, please. I'm trying to push the glue stick, forcefully push the glue stick through the gun itself. This is probably why the glue gun's broken. Doing stupid things like this. Don't follow everything I do, everyone. Use common sense while hobbying. Everything I do isn't exactly the right way to do it. Alright, I'm hoping that this is enough charge now. Fingers crossed, everyone, because I'm getting... Well, we had a blue light. Oh, back to red. We had a blue light for 1 second there. 1 second we had a blue light. Let's just forcefully push the stick down a bit more. Break it that much more than it is already. When in doubt, blue light came back on. See, we're there, everyone. Brute force and ignorance. We have some glue coming out. And come on. We got this. We got this. Please just come out of the gun. That's enough. That's enough. That will do. That will do. Please just go away. Go away. So we'll just stick, while this glue gun's working, we'll just stick as much as we can over it, crisscross it, make sure there's a firm bond between the piece of card paper that you put down there and the actual steel. Now we're getting stuff everywhere. Please be safe, everyone. It is hot glue at the end of the day, and I've stuck the base down to my board, which I will notice in once. Yeah, here we go. Of course, everything just, oh. Whoever said that hobbying was easy? It's fun, it is fun, but whoever said it was easy? You know, there's struggles along the way, but the struggles are what actually makes it fun. So don't forget to subscribe and come along this fun, exciting Carnage journey with me, and right, let's see where we go from here. So here we're just getting the orientation of the lollipop stick thing that we want to use as the main body for the speeder kind of jet bike we're making here. So this is exactly where I want to have the metal bits. So before I stick the cocktail stick on, I'm going to trim around the edges of this piece of paper card here to get more of a oval, is that the word? Like just a rounded shape to the base. Generally bases of this stature are more rounded. You can get square bases obviously, But in this purpose, I'm gonna go for a more rounded ovalish shape. So yeah, we're just gonna trim off the edges here with just a basic scissors, and we'll do this just before we start building the figure on top, the piece we're doing, just to make it easier instead of having to cut around and get around bits. Because what I do, there's bound to be areas that we can't get to later on, because like I said, I don't plan too much out here. I just go with what looks good at that moment in time. So here, I was thinking about using the cable for something, but in order to do that, I'll have to chop off the little USB stick things at the either end, or connector, shall I say. And then I realized, could I stick them, like, and use them for something? So it is going to be like a speed or jet bike type of thing. So I wonder, could I use the USB ports as a type of a motor, like a motor, motor, or something just of that variety, just to give it that bit more detail to it, a bit more character and depth. So we'll have a look what I do here. The two of them, one's smaller, one's bigger, so we'll see what orientation we can put these in. And then I'm just stretching this cable out here, this wire, just to see how much I have of it, while I take away the project we just made and throw it into oblivion. So I actually seen this idea on Ramshackle Games Instagram page. If anyone knows Ramshackle Games, a very good miniature maker creator. And then I seen that post went on to Hive Scum podcast, and then I followed that and followed them also on Instagram. So then I seen that there, and then I followed that into a Discord, which was Must We Trust. So I've been led down a big giant rabbit hole of excitement. So that's where we got this idea. So it was basically the concept was a competition, like an event type thing that they were doing that had to be done by August. But I just really wanted to enter it in my own head, to be honest. I thought the concept was quite a good idea, and thought, why not do it along with them in my own way? So just myself, really. So this is the outcome of what I came up with for that event, but not for that event, because I'm not entering it. Purely because I don't want to enter it. I'm pleased at the work that I put out for myself, but I am not pleased of it to be up to others' standards. So I want to do this for myself. At the end of the day, you are your biggest critic, though, so never let anyone put you down. And remember that you will always be your harshest critic. So, but I'm just comfortable doing this to myself. Take their idea in and just come up with this concept, this little miniature idea, and see what I come out with. You know, it's a good idea. You know, make sure you give them all a follow. Ramshackle Games, In Rust We Trust, and Hive Scum podcast. Give them all a like and share. So as you see here, we're just cutting up one of the orc miniatures. So my concept idea that I'm going with is, because it's based off a wasteland, I'm going to cut up these, there goes a bit flying across the room, I'm going to cut up these orcs and use them. So, alright, so my premise idea is, there was a wasteland survivor. He was like a torturer type of guy. He did anything he could to survive. I'm like, it's a Mad Max situation. He did what he did he did what he did. He did what he had to do to survive the wasteland. And what he does is he's like a technology genius. So he knows an awful lot about technology, even though there isn't any anymore. So he uses that to his advantage. So he captures any leftover humans. He captures stray humans, people, just survivors, roaming the wasteland, and he chops off their limbs and then attaches cybernetic tentacles to them in order, so they're like robotic tentacles, so they move like a snake along the floor, and that's kind of that, along with the engines, the thrust, the air thrust that levitates, helps it move along, like slither, kind of move along the floor. But because these are tortured, captured survivors, are the means of propulsion, as soon as they stop moving or working to propel this vehicle, the vehicle then stops levitating and crashes to the ground, which then causes the vehicle to park, shall we say, or rest on top of the tortured propulsion survivors. So it's in their best interest to not stop working and to keep propelling the vehicle forward. Whether they want to or not, every time they stop, they're getting crushed to death. So, yeah, this is my sick, dark means of propelling a vehicle forward in this wasteland world. By torturing them, attaching cybernetic mutated robotic tentacles to their limbs, and saying, if you stop moving me forward, you will be crushed to death every time. Yeah. It's kind of, it gives them a means to keep working for motivation. Oh. So here I just stuck the two orc survivor guys I wanted. I'm trying to get all this hot glue just stuck all over the place. So they're the orientation I want them. One at the front and one at the back. I'm going to use this orc guy, banner gentleman, as our rider. So our speeder rider or a jet bike rider. So just take him off the base here. Try not to throw something else across the room. And I don't need the banner, so we're just going to snip this off. So the reason I chose this guy particularly is just because all they had was a banner flagpole to remove. It's much easier to remove that than anything else, like a gun or something like that, from the hands. And then I can just reposition these in a way that I want them to be on the finished product. I was thinking about him holding it like chains or like a rope. So think of the way he moves or controls the actual jet bike while riding it, like standing on top of it like a hoverboard type thing, is by chains. So as if the mutated survivors underneath the hover bike were horses type of way, and that's his reins. So every time he pulls on them, they tug the survivors, and that tells them like what to do or what, you know what I mean? It's that type of communication is how he controls the vehicle itself and propels it forward. That, along with a pedal that he'll have on the floor just to control how high up or low he goes, and it's the actual survivors with the robotic tentacles that are propelling him forward in motion. So it's just the engines that are keeping him hovering, and it's the tentacles that are the robotic arms that are actually propelling him. So that's the motion part of it. So here we're just seeing what orientation we want these robotic arm tentacle things to go. I'm just kind of thinking I wanted them like a jellyfish type of flowing, like an octopus, just flow. That's the way I wanted them to be. So they are in the orientation as if it was being propelled forward, and you can see movement in the tentacles or the robotic arms, whatever we're calling them here. So yeah, that's what I'm just going for here. Some type of depth and movement. Also getting a piece of scrap card that we cut off for the base. Bending that around this lollipop stick here. And I said, you know what? This might look good as a fin. So we'll use that as a wee little fin. We'll stick that down here, and this just creates more definition in the actual project itself. Gives it more character and a bit more depth to it itself, instead of it all being so flat. And yet with so much super glue, hot glue shall I say, wrapped around. Such a messy job, but not a better channel for this, guys. It's all Carnage all the time. So I'm just making sure we have a nice bond here, and more glue strands. Yep, all over the place, this glue. I don't like I like hot glue because it's quick and easy, but I don't like it because of all these strands that are left. It's just so annoying. It sticks to everything. So here we have this, how it is now. So we've got a basic body of the shape of the speeder jet bike we want. Now I'm just, so many strands and stuff. So I'm thinking about putting some type of engines on, so that will give it propulsion, or you could use these as fuel tanks, or you know, just use your imagination. So I'm cutting some pieces of the paper straw up just into some eco sections here, and I'm going to orientate them on the model, the wings we just put on there, just to see what way I want them to look. So we'll just cut these and make sure we have a few different sizes, and we'll stick these on. So I'm just making sure that I'm not cutting at the bends here where it's like bent, and I'm just cutting the flat bits. So making sure I have nice round bits here, cylindrical bits I can use, and then when we're happy that we have a nice collection of bits, we'll just stick them onto the wing and see how exactly we want them laid out here. So, just went off their camera because I'm dealing with all this super glue, hot glue strands. It's getting stuck to everything. So this is what we have so far. So I just stuck 3 type of uh, paper straws on either side there. Gives it a kind of a look like there's engines on it. We might move these and orientate them in a different way later on. We'll have a look how the model tends to go as we do this. So the flag, I was thinking about reusing this flag instead of just throwing it away. So we'll stick this back onto the project we're working on here, the jet bike. So I had a little stick here. It was like a toothpick stick, or piece of wood. I was using just to move the hot glue around. And instead of sticking it in the bin, we should stick it on the flagpole. And this will literally just extend that flagpole that we cut off the miniature previously. And it gives us something then to stick onto the actual base itself, the body of the piece. So with that stuck on there, it gives it a bit more definition, a bit more character. And the more and more we add on here, the more detailed it will get, and the more it will start to stand out. Well, that's what we're hoping anyway. So with these pieces of wire, if I'm going to use them, well, what I was thinking is, if I'm going to be using these as some type of robotic arms or tentacles or snake-like things, or there has to be some type of definition to them. Broken up, they can't just be smooth, because it doesn't, in my head, maybe someone else could be different, but in my head, a smooth texture doesn't really give me the doesn't make me feel movement, if that makes any sense. So I was thinking, if I cut little etches out of the cable, it may break that up a little bit more and give the illusion of it moving, or being able to articulate a little bit better. So yeah, that's all I'm doing here, is quickly just snipping little bits of the wire with the scissors, as to not cut all the way through, but to just give it that textured look that I'm trying to get. So we're just repeating them steps on each robotic arm tentacle thing, just making sure that we don't crisscross each cut and cut off some of the actual outer coating of the plastic wire itself. So now that we have that done, we'll get our favourite friend, our best pal out again, the hot glue gun. Hopefully it works. And we're struggle here with the hot glue gun strands and everything else. But we'll fix these into the position that we wanted them to be with using hot glue, because it would be the easiest way to do it, in my opinion. At this moment in time, it was the easiest way I thought about doing. So just make sure you be safe, everyone, because at the end of the day, this is hot glue you're working with. You don't want to stick it to your fingers and stuff. My fingers are a little bit toughened up from working in the kitchens and stuff. I used to work in the kitchens and stuff, so the heat doesn't affect my fingers that much. So we're just trying to hold this into position, give it a nice orientation or a nice little movement to it, so it looks natural, has a more natural feeling. Nothing looks natural in this channel, but we'll give it as much of a natural feeling as we can. So with a few bits added on there, that's what we have. And then this is what we have left when that's glued. So we've got the first guy a bit done there. As you can see, our orientation of them kind of swaying backwards, so it gives that movement forward effect. So next I was looking at the flag. Looks a little bit empty, a little bit bare back here, plus there's a big giant blob of glue. So in order to hide this, or to, shall I say, make that big blob of glue how am I saying it? Like, there's a big blob of glue there. I don't want there to just be a big blob of glue there holding up one stick. So instead of that, we'll stick some exhaust pipes on the side of it to make it look like that big blob of glue is holding in more than just one stick. That's basically what I'm doing here. At the end of the day, when it's sprayed, it's not going to look like a big blob of glue, but I felt as if I needed more added around that base area to make it look like whatever is holding that stick down isn't just holding that stick down. It's holding more than just that stick in place. Because it didn't look as tidy as I know we're not looking for tidy, neat and tidy, Mr. Perfect channel. That's not what this is. But at the end of the day, some type of I wouldn't say respect, but you know, you want something to look a little bit nice at the end of the day. It doesn't have to look perfect, but you want it to look up to your standards of what you're going for in the project and what your idea is, not just to what other people's ideas and standards are. So here we're just making sure that we know which limb we're going to attach the other robotic arms to before we stick our hot glue down, because like everyone knows, if you don't know, hot glue is a very fast working material. So as soon as you tend to squeeze it out and it hits the air, as soon as it hits the air, it starts to cool down. So you need to work pretty fast with this material. So using a stick, or in this case a paper clip, I'm moving the hot glue into a position that I'm happy with to hold down wires better and give it like a slimy look as well, like of oil maybe, or something like rusted bits and, you know, flesh left over. And this is going to get painted up whenever I have a chance to, and we will make it look that bit more realistic. But for now, we'll get it bashed out, we'll put a primer on it, and that will do us for now until we come back to us at a later date when we have more time. So as you can see, there's a lot of hot glue around that model there and the front model, but don't worry too much about how much there is, because the paint is what defines more what things are and aren't. So you just see, and I just see here, lots of hot glue strands, lots of mess. But once you start priming and painting and filing off little bits here and there that you might need to do at the end, when you have another scan around your project, you know, this is what makes it stand out, is the little finer details near the end. You could just leave it just like this and be happy. I'd be more than happy leaving it like this myself too. But I want to see what this would look like with a little bit of paint on it. So we will eventually paint this up to a certain standard that it would be, in my eyes, tabletop ready. Not tournament standard, but it would be up to a tabletop standard, where I wouldn't feel bad bringing it to a game or something like that. So here we're just going to orientate the arms into the position we want. So as I said previous, we want these arms to be in a position so he could hold the chains, or kind of, it looks as if he's holding the chains, and that's what will control the direction of the speeder jet bike thing. So we'll just stick the other arm on here. And this is what we have after he's been stuck together. A few more extra bits to be stuck on, but we'll do that off camera. Anything major that has changed, I'll bring you back for. So I was thinking that the front of the jet bike speeder bike thing, how many times have I said bike in this whole video? We should have a counter list here. But I was thinking for the front of it, it needs a bit more definition. Like I said previous, we want a bit of character on this thing. We don't want it just to be, although it is just a thrown together trash creation, we don't want it to look too much like a thrown together trash creation. We want it to look like there was some thought put out into this process. So what I'm doing here is I'm just bending a few bits of this popsicle stick so I can make like I wouldn't say a cockpit, like just the front nose part of this jet bike. Instead of it looking more like a surfboard, it will look more like a vehicle. So I'm just bending this, cutting it into certain sizes, so I have specific panels to work with. Also, what's everyone up to? I don't think I've asked in a video recently, but what is everyone's projects at the moment? Type it in the comments below. I'd like to know what everyone else is doing. Any projects you have on the go, and don't forget, I have a Ko-Fi channel. So if you go head over to KitbashCarnage 2024 at Ko-Fi, link in the description, you can become a member and join our Discord for as little as £1 a month. Any proceeds just go towards helping the channel, may it be buying materials and bits and bobs. But yeah, you can join the Discord, and once you're in the Discord, we can all share in the community our own projects that we're doing, and have a look and share inputs of techniques and skills and our different yeah, they all just had different ideas. I'm really interested to hear of anyone else's techniques that they do, that I could learn, or vice versa. Anything that I may know that I could pass on to someone else that we don't want to put in a video and ramble on and on about that I already do. But yeah, don't forget we have a Ko-Fi. I have Facebook, Instagram, obviously YouTube. There's TikTok. Get in touch, guys, and I'd love just to know what you are doing in your day to day, like not being nosy or nothing, but if you are a painter, I'd love to know what you're painting. If you're a model maker, what you sculpting right now? You know, if you're a terrain builder, let me know what type of terrain you're working on. What are you using for it? I'm also doing some terrain, so we could always collaborate back and forth on projects we're doing. And yeah, I always like to keep in touch with the community and keep up to date on what's everyone up to. Yeah. Sorry for the ramble. So back to the actual thing we're doing. So as you see here, we're just cutting panels off of popsicle sticks and sticking them on here. I think this is half or just over half of the nose. I think having built like this gives it that look I was trying to go after. So I'm just holding the hot glue in place here, and so it's stuck. And then I have these other popsicle sticks that have like I don't know what you'd call it, just this type of look to them. So instead of having to go and find something that has this look, or cut out something, or make something else, I'll just chip off this, take the pieces I need, and we'll use this for the panels to go on the side to fill in the gaps here. So I could have gone ahead and sanded down the rough edges, made it look that bit more smooth. But as I said, we are the look we are going for is a wastelandic kind of scrappish look. This is somebody who has been roaming the wastelands, literally would do anything to survive, has found scraps on the ground, and two human beings who he has manipulated and tortured to be his means of propulsion, along with motors and bits he has found, and he's created a chariot of doom, shall we say, to ride along the wasteland with. So yeah, sounds brilliant. So along with them pieces of cocktail sticks, or popsicle sticks, whatever it is, that we stuck there, I have some offcuts of, do you remember when we cut around the base? The white base there, cardboard base thing, paper base. Well, them offcuts, we can just slap here, and that will fill in them gaps. So, like I said, everyone, try not to throw away anything. Like, usually someone would have cut them off, put them on their desk, and then said, oh, get that rubbish off my desk out of the view of the camera. Listen, I'm pretty sure everyone who is into the same hobbies we're into doesn't care about the view of the camera to an extent. When when my hand goes off camera, I'm pretty sure everyone shouts down the screen, please put your hand in camera, I can't see what you're doing, and so on and so forth. I would. But these little scraps of paper that anyone would just throw out and think they're in the way, they're a hindrance. These things come in handy, everyone. I have I have two cardboard boxes. They're not big, they're about shoebox size, full of literally just offcuts of paper and popsicle sticks and just bits of everything. All these things come in handy. One day everything comes in handy. Mightn't now, but later down the line you turn around and go, I need something that looks like that, and that one thing that you need that looks like that, you have just thrown in the bin. So think twice the next time you go to throw something in the bin. Maybe think, oh, I'll use that for something else. I'll put it in a little box. Don't become a hoarder. I'm not telling everyone to start hoarding now. I don't want to see you on, a program anytime soon. But yeah, you know, think, always have second thoughts. Think outside the box before you throw stuff away. That's always what I do. So as you've seen there, we sanded down one side, the side that we're gluing, we actually sanded down. And we left the other side that we broke off that's more rough. We left it looking like that because we want that rough look. Like, I want this to look like a wooden panel that has just been strapped on together here. You know, we'll add little indentations into these panels with something to mark it so it looks like divots, you know, so rivets. We gradually stuck more paper clips that have been moved on. Then we stuck some, I had some foam card here that got stuck on the sides just to break up the texture, make it look like more panels. Stuck some more on the wings there that we stuck beside the exhausts. Now here we're adding the chains along the sides that I was talking about that will control the actual vehicle. So these are getting just stuck up to the front of the nose. We drag them down along where the guy is, and we stick them up to where the captain or the driver will be actually holding these. Now I realised while doing this, I'm thinking these chains are pretty long and much longer than I want them to be. And if I was to stick them on, which I've already stuck the hot glue, or I'm sticking the hot glue down, when I'm sticking this on, I'll have to cut them after after the fact, and that's going to be tricky. So I was thinking, why not just use them as long as they are? So I'm thinking, while I'm doing this, I'm thinking in my head, I can just use these as like a barrier, so as if it's an extra, not part of the same chain, but an extra chain that gets stuck there that the rider puts there and takes off and on, so he doesn't just fall out of the thing or something. A little bit more of stabilization, shall I say, something to hold on to while you're riding along the wastelands. So just add a bit more hot glue in there and we'll stick this chain in. I'm very surprised this hot glue gun has not just gone kaput. Very surprised. At the very start of this video, it was a bit shaky there, touch and miss here and there, or whatever the saying is. It's touch and miss. That definitely doesn't sound right. But yeah, it was hit or miss. That's the one. Hit or miss, not touch or miss. Hit or miss. Oh, I just have to stop now. Right. So yeah, this is what I was talking about putting the hand off camera. I do apologize, everyone. I'm trying to get used to having everything in frame, but when you're working on something, it just naturally happens. You bring the project closer to your face, and I just forget. But I do, bear with me. I do apologize about that. So these weapons here we're not actually going to need because they came off the tortured survivors that we're using as propulsion. So I was just thinking, instead of sticking them on the actual guys, like, because they came off and they have no hands anymore, we'll stick them on this gentleman here, the rider, the captain of the vehicle. So we're just snipping bits off here, sanding it down to get it into a decent enough standard that we can just attach them on here. And like I said, no need to be too careful or precise here. We will hide all our crimes later down the line. Paint and green stuff and all the other techniques that we think we know. So I'm just using a bit of Tamiya extra thin cement here, plastic cement, just to create a good bond between the gun and the hand here. So just make sure you have a nice enough bond there between the two pieces. And don't forget, give it a little squeeze, because the Tamiya extra thin actually works like a cement, like a proper, it melts the plastic to one another instead of just sticking it to one another, if that makes more sense. The same principle, but if you push the plastic towards the other piece of plastic you're trying to stick it to, it molds or melts into one form instead of just being two separate pieces stuck to one another, if that kind of makes a bit of sense. And just because I'm impatient, a bit of super glue. Because, yeah, when in doubt, more glue. I think my problem here wasn't more, well, it was being impatient, but it was more got to do with the two pieces or connection points I was trying to connect to each other. I didn't clean hard enough, so there was still some paint residue left over, and the plastic glue won't actually create a good bond when there's some paper paint residue left over on the piece, because it ends up melting or eating into the actual paint and not eating into the plastic and then getting into the pores of the plastic, if plastic has pores, but you get what I mean. It doesn't get to the plastic, so then the two plastic pieces create the bond. It ends up trying to create a bond with the paint, which just strips the paint, and then you're left with, well, paint just coming off. You know what I mean? It doesn't stick. You have to then clean the whole piece again and reuse the glue. Whereas super glue, in a way, bypasses that and just sticks everything solid. So that's why I think I more switched to using super glue, because I wasn't going to go through the trouble of sanding stuff down and making sure everything was 100% clean, when this was literally supposed to be a thrown together thing itself. That's what the idea was. It wasn't supposed to be something that I spend, days making. This is supposed to be, I pictured myself as the gentleman who came across all this material. Like, would I, in the wasteland, spend time stripping paint to create a good bond to this thing? No, I would not. I would just throw it together how I can, and if it will do for the time being, well, that will do. The next slave or survivor I captured, I'll force him to do it. That's what the wasteland's all about. It's not about me going out of my way to do something to last me a century. It's me doing what I need to do right now to survive right now until tomorrow. That's what it's about, in my eyes. Obviously, you would do things to create a future for yourself, a bit of comfort, maybe establish some type of house and home and all that jazz. But come on, guys, someone who's chopping people's arms off and using them as means of propulsion, with tentacles attached to it, like, this isn't the gentleman who's going to go around trying to create a nice friendly community. So we're just trimming up the backs of these exhaust slash engines, making them look a little bit rattered, like tatty, shall I say? Uh, Not as perfectly cylindrical as they are, because it's the wasteland. When are you gonna get perfectly cylindrical anything? You're to be bound to be some type of dent in it, or a cut, or someone has taken something off a piece to use it for something else. Uh, reuse different pieces of material for your purposes and your means. So this is what we have so far. We just need to do the base of the actual miniature itself here, the project. Put a bit more weight to it, and finish off the heads of the two slaves that are used for propulsion. So as you see here, we're just going to stick some cocktail sticks and milliput on the base just to add a little bit more weight to it, and that will give it a little bit more stabilization. So as you see there, we have the milliput down, there's popsicle sticks on there, and that gives it then a bit more weight to it and makes it more stabilization. No, it doesn't make it more stabilization. It makes it more stable, not more stabilization. So I'll get our green stuff here, and I wanted to make some type of a cape with the green stuff. Also heads for the extra two tortured survivors that we got, the prisoners. So a cape along with two heads is what I'm looking to make out of this green stuff. So we'll see what we can do with the little bit that we have here. As you know, everyone, there's that little bit in the middle of the green stuff that you can throw away if you want, or do what I do, which is roll it into a small little ball or string or anything, and just keep it to the side, and we'll use it for something. I usually have a little bag that I keep all these bits in, and I'll come use them and down the line later for something else. There we go. I just found this. So as you can see, I have a bag just full of these little bits. There's no point throwing all these things out. Like, you can use this. It's a product you have paid for, and if you just throw it away, then you might as well just throw your money in the bin. So moving on to making our cape, I added a little bit of water with my finger onto my board cutting mat here, and then I'm just using a bit more water with my finger just to smooth out the cape and make it a bit more flat and widen it up here for us to use. So as you can see, we're just putting it onto the miniature here, and we're just going to manipulate this in with the metal side, not the silicone side, the metal side of our tool, because I want to create like a fur kind of look around the neck area. So we'll put it in here and just use our silicone bit just to actually push it in. Hold on. Stick into the actual miniature itself. So we're trying to stick it to the miniature, but at the same time create a pulled feather look or wool look, if that makes sense. So pulled texture look. So we'll stick it in. I'll just try and manipulate here. So I'm more using the silicone side for when I don't want to add texture to certain bits, and then I switch back to the metal sides when I don't mind there being that much more texture. So we're just folding it in here, trying to create that look we're after, little by little. And now we switch back to this metal side just to go for that look that we were going for. So we'll just see us kind of pull or manipulate the green stuff, just making sure that it's stuck into every crevice, and then we pull and twist it to give it that feathered slash pulled cotton material look. You know, it's just a bit more character to it, a bit more definition. Who wants to have just a flat cape? You know, sheets and materials don't act in that manner. They move around corners and move around stuff. They don't. They flow. You know, they're not like solid objects. You know, they are in that meaning, but they're, you know, it's not a 10-ton cape. It will float quite easily in the wind. So as you see here, we're just trying to stop it from sticking to itself and manipulate it in a way that we can set it down and gravity won't take over and it won't start folding in amongst itself. So this is something that you have to always take into consideration when using gluing anything or using any type of molding material, is gravity itself. So always have your mini or project you're working on facing or leaning in a direction that gravity is helping it and it's not working against the thing you're trying to do. So as you see here, we're trying to fold this in a way that it will fold on itself, so gravity won't take over and fold it over on itself. If that makes sense, and a lot of stuff I don't do or say in this channel make any sense, but I hope that makes some little bit of sense. So moving on, these are the little heads I was talking about for the survivors that are trapped, tortured guys that the rider took. So we just have two googly eyes here. Say googly eyes. They're eye sockets with no eyes in them, and then we have a stitched up mouth, and the head is just a bald round head, stripped back to the bone. So it's kind of a bit of a gruesome look here, but plain and simple. It kind of reminds me of that movie. What was it? The movie, the little skeleton guy. You know, he had kind of a round skeleton head like this, and he was in some type of, I think it was a funeral or a wedding or something like that. I don't know, some cartoon. But yeah, moving on, we'll just continue adding some glue on here to the position we want the head, and then we'll stick that on, and we'll have a look what it looks like. So as you can see, there's a bit of a strange look to it, but that's what we're going with this whole thing, is a bit of a strange, odd look. So with that done, thank you everyone for staying tuned. I really appreciate it. I went ahead and primed this model so you can see what it looks like primed. We'll go ahead and we'll paint this up in a later video to come, but this is what we have so far. So I like how it turned out. We have the tentacles there, a bit of definition and character to the model itself. We have our little dude that we done. So green stuff isn't 100% hardened, but it will get there, and he just fits in there. I think it looks pretty cool, you know. Something that we just bashed out in a day. Bit of fun. And this is what we have. Well, thank you everyone once again. I do appreciate all the support, and don't forget to like, subscribe and comment.